Prime Minister Justin Trudeau arriving in Zurich this evening, along with several of his top cabinet ministers. The World Economic Forum is a trade show of sorts in the luxury ski resort town of Davos, where political leaders can meet and mingle with the global business elite. Trudeau and his team are there to sell Canada as a great place to invest, despite the uncertainty surrounding NAFTA. Tomorrow, he'll deliver a keynote address to the forum on the role of business and empowering women. Ensuring that women have a fair chance to succeed is a key priority for the Prime Minister, and the way the government spends your tax dollars can make a real difference. The principle behind it, called gender budgeting. And some measures are already in place here in Canada. For example, paid parental leave, child benefit checks, equal pay in the public sector, and giving tax breaks for single or working parents. But as Susan Lunn explains, at least one country has found some unique and practical ways to reduce gender inequality.
When you think of gender inequity and government spending, the snowplow likely doesn't come to mind. But it did in Sweden.
We are prioritizing the pedestrians, the cyclists, and the public transportation before the cars.
It snows in Sweden.
The Association of Swedish Municipalities put together this video to explain it better. Essentially, more women walk, bike, or use public transit. Roads, which are used mostly by men, are cleared second. It hasn't always gone smoothly.
Some think it's ridiculous because we ought to snow clear where it's needed. But this is the way to say that before we snow cleared in a way that promoted certain people before others.
The federal government isn't in charge of snow clearing in this country, so bike lanes like this are closed right now. Still, the federal finance minister is promising to have his own concrete examples of gender budgeting by the time all this snow melts.
This year we'll be coming forward with concrete measures that are going to help women to be more successful in our economy.
Some people are happy Canada is starting to look at spending and how it affects women. But this Toronto-based economist admits it isn't an easy idea, even for the bureaucrats to get their heads around.
It isn't a bean counting exercise, it's a benefit counting exercise. And that's a radical way of looking at what governments can do by spending money.
And Yelnesian says it will take money.
Part of a gender-based approach is to have better outcomes. And if you want better outcomes, you're going to have to spend a bit more.
3 inches of snow are harder to get through on foot than in a car.
Haldayan says actually the Stockholm experience is that gender equal budgeting actually saves money. Fewer people are slipping on the snow and ending up in hospital. It's also better for the environment and people's health overall to bike and walk more. Canadians will have to wait a little bit longer, at least until next month, to find out just how the Trudeau government will interpret gender equal budgeting, to find out how it may improve the lives of women in this country. Susan Lunn, CBC News, Ottawa.
For the past 22 years, Canada has examined the impact of every policy, piece of legislation, and program, the impact that it has on women and men. They call it gender-based analysis, but the initiative hasn't been entirely successful over the years.
The very few of the departments that perform gender-based analysis can show that the analyses are used in designing public policy.
But when the Auditor General looked at the issue again 2 years ago, he found that it hasn't improved.
The analysis conducted by departments and agencies were not always complete, nor of consistent quality. This means that gender considerations, including obstacles to the full participation of diverse groups of men and women, are not always considered in government decisions.
Since then, the Trudeau Liberals say they've beefed up training for civil servants and have placed gender equality at the centre of its budget document.